I would.
You never take me on dates anymore.
Yeah, I guess I don't. I'm kind of terrible. Anyway, guys, welcome to the G&G Cast, episode 26. I am your host.
I'm looking because the stream just popped up and I see where Brett is.
you see that? I'm broadcasting you live from this lovely pier. I think there's a guy back here who's like messing with some inner tubes or something.
Mm-hmm.
Subliminal Cheese is joining me today.
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
Yeah. Buck, how you doing, Mr. Crouton John?
I'm living. How you living?
I'm living all right, man. Living all right. Feeling a little scatterbrained right now.
Oh, yeah, same.
Surviving. And Mr. Whiteface himself, KW Frags, how we doing?
Doing good.
Guys, welcome to the
Doing good, Chip. Back to you.
Bi-weekly video game podcast here on Grenades and Goblins. You can see it live here on twitch.tv/grenadesandgoblins, or check it out at a later time on YouTube at our YouTube channel, Grenades and Goblins. One of these days, when I actually have money, I will put the audio out. I swear. I really want to. It's just money, man. Lots of money. Anyway, we're going to get straight into the show today. Let's just talk about some video games to start. What's everyone been playing? Anyone play anything since we last got to it was 2 weeks ago, I think we got together, yeah.
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 All right, good talk.
I'm playing some stuff, but
let's hear about it.
Well, I started doing this thing called Sim Saturdays on my channel.
Oh, yeah, I watched a VOD of you playing. Go ahead, I don't want to bury the...
Yeah, no, it's cool. So we started with Construction Simulator, and then I think, 2 days ago we played Farming Simulator, and it's just a reason to like sit and not have to like
try hard.
And I can drink beer, and it's been kind of cool. So like I
get hammered and run heavy equipment.
Get hammered, drunk,
like the American dream, dude.
Mm-hmm. So it's been cool like that. Other than that, I haven't really. I picked up a couple small games up on the Steam sale, the autumn sale.
What'd you get?
Is it Kona? I think it's called Kona, or something like that.
Kokona?
I forget what the fuck it's called. Yeah, it's called Kona.
What's that about?
It's it takes place in the 70s, I think. It's like almost like a murder mystery.
Ooh, I'm about that.
In like in Alaska or something like that. So seemed cool.
You really do like your snowy murder mystery games.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I'm a sucker for murder mystery, so.
But yeah, other than that, I've really been playing much anything else.
No more Assassin's Creed?
No, I have, just with work and moving, and it's on the back burner, but it's not forgotten.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it really does look like you've moved quite a lot.
There's a box.
Look, I see it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There's nothing in it, but it's there.
I just feel like you put that box there and went, all right, time for a beer.
Right.
It's like when you were younger and you had to write a big paper and you're like, but my desk is messy. I need to clean this whole desk.
That's kind of what's been
I can't focus.
And then it's 6 o'clock and you're like, all right.
Yeah. I'll be at work like, hey, you're gonna go home and like you get this, and this done, and I get home and I like fill a box up and I'm like, whew.
Damn, that was tough.
I'm fucking stressed out.
Yeah. It's not real until you unplug your router and start unplugging your computer.
Well, that's the thing. Like this would be.
That's when stuff gets going. You're like, all right, fucking bullshit.
You guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
That was the very last thing I did was unplug my router.
Luckily though, on the Xfinity's making it super easy. Like
use transfer to the address, right?
Yeah, it's super fucking easy. Like I'll unplug here, plug back in there, call a number, and I'm sweet. So
yeah,
there's that.
That's good. That's always comforting to know that you have your internet. Like that's always the worst. When I moved a bunch when I was in school and lived in Columbus, that was always the biggest. Like how many days am I gonna have to be without it because everyone moves at the same time? So sometimes you can't get an appointment right away. That was the worst. Yeah,
you need the positive to your negative. Like this is my negative in my life right now. It's like even though it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a positive. Like the anxiety and stress of moving is the negative. So like my positive is going to be sitting here, with video games. And if I get over there and can't do that, it would be like a complete fucking disaster. So.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you do have some games you can play offline now, which is nice at least.
Yeah, that's true. But luckily, we don't have to cross that bridge.
Yeah,
we're good.
Hey, play anything else?
No, that's kind of it. Like I said, I'm at max capacity right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
But once you get through that stress, the nice thing about moving sometimes is that you can just get rid of some shit. Finally, like you really look at it and you're like, do I need this?
Yeah, and it's a fresh start, man. Like, I'll be moving my stuff. I can clean, set up a new studio. Like, it'll be, invigorating to.
Have you talked with your girlfriend about that already? Like this, I'm taking this room, the studio.
Oh no, we looked at places
with this.
Like with that in mind.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was like in order. It went like laundry, studio for me, and then whatever the fuck else she wanted after that.
After that, my two items were fulfilled.
Right, that's it.
You're gonna have laundry?
Yeah, laundry. Like it's
nice.
It's
that's
good.
Always a bonus, man.
I'll have all three of you guys there at some point for sure.
Oh yeah,
nice.
At the same time,
it's pretty presumptuous.
That's also why he opted for the sex dungeon.
Yeah.
It was an option. It
was another $200 a month, but hey, dude, you can't compromise on comfort when you're having a 4-way orgy.
Comfort.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, comfort. Anyway, Buck, what'd you play?
Well, I had this past weekend, my sister and her family drove up from Texas for Thanksgiving, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I guess I buried the lead there. Tell us about your Thanksgiving, and we'll go back to everyone else's too. Hopefully, everyone had a good holiday.
Yeah. They drove up. It was really cool. It was super chill. I don't know. Like I always get like really stressed out about those things because she's like my older sister and she likes to pick on me. So I was like, man, I got to make sure my apartment's like fucking clean, like spotless, because I know if like one thing's out of place, she's gonna be like, wow, I can't believe you fucking forgot to wipe down the doorstops or some stupid shit. Like
drag her finger across the table. Like, what the fuck is this?
That's just how she is. She just likes to give me a hard time, and I don't know. She's my older sister. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah.
But she brought her.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I would go with it. I mean, I don't know how your family relationship is.
Oh wow! I can't believe your house is this dirty. Yeah. Well, I can't believe you have nowhere to sleep tonight.
Right? Like, here's a mop, bitch, if you want to fucking complain about it.
No, it was super sweet. It was awesome. She brought, obviously her husband and her kids came, and I got to actually. My big thing was I wanted to show them like VR.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you show them that?
And so like we all piled in my room, and I had it all set up out here behind me, and even the kids tried it, and it was super fun. Even like little 4-year-old Victor, and he has a huge head, so the VR headset was perfect right on his head.
You're poisoning their minds at a young age.
Yeah, man. Honestly, when they were here, she was like, so how much does it cost to get one of these? Because I want to get one. And I was like, well, you got to build a computer. And she's like, okay, that's fine. Like, I can do that. And I was like, yeah, you can probably just get like a cheap pre-built. And I was like, yeah. And then the VR headset's like another $300-something. And then I was like, but you don't have internet, so it's going to be impossible for you to download games. Because they don't have like cable TV or internet at their house.
They don't have internet?
No.
Wow.
I was unaware you came from a long line of cavemen.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with dial-up, dude. I had dial-up until 2012.
Oh, I had dial-up for a while, but yeah, we left that behind pretty quickly, I guess.
But yeah, they loved it. Like my mi cuñado, my brother-in-law, he had a lot of fun doing the Robo Recall game because he was like, you have the guns and he just like shooting everything. He thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I've still never tried the touch controllers. I really want to.
They're fun, man.
The hand simulator always looks fun every time I see like clips of people playing it. It's the game where you can play like Russian roulette or you can play checkers, but you got to like manipulate every part of the hand, and it's just really it's really ridiculous to watch.
Yeah, I wish I had more VR stuff. Like, I think it's so cool. I just don't have the space or the money or the time to play any more of those games. So that's cool. You had a good holiday then?
Yeah, it was good. I cooked I slow cooked a ham, fucking massive, like 17-pound ham.
Wow.
And
you do the pineapple?
No, I did what I did was I just put like I made like a glaze out of like literally Coke, brown sugar, and like mustard, and it came out fucking
was super
great.
Hyper afterwards, all that Coke.
Yep. It was good.
That sounds good. Well, that's good.
It was a good time. Other than that, I hopped back on the Guitar Hero 3 train because I watched Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny. So I was like, I've gotta fucking play Guitar Hero now.
Nice.
So I did that.
I was on Amazon. I saw this chair that was integrated with pedals on it, like when you were biking and streaming the other day, and it made me think of you. That was like an all-in-one where you could pedal while you're sitting at your desk. And I was like, oh man,
shit, dude.
Buck should get one of these.
Yeah, I'll buy one of those. Lose some pounds. And then I bought Skate 3, and I've been playing that because for whatever reason, like, come back to that game every like 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, man, I really want to play this. So I've been doing the story mode on that.
Yeah,
that's been fun.
My version of Skate is like the SSX games. I've got to get a PS2 emulator to work on my PC because like SSX3 is the one that I used to go in and fuck around with. Mm-hmm. But I remember the first time when Skate first came out, I would just mess around the demo because I thought it was so cool, like doing tricks with the analog
like
sticks.
It is way, dude. Oh fuck, man. I know we're gonna talk about EA later, but man, I wish they would come out with a new Skate game, dude.
Yeah, make
Holy
EA
shit.
Skate again.
Yeah, man, I wish.
Dude, have you
Skate
ever gotten
4.
to their Twitter account? I don't know if it's changed now, but for a while, like every Twitter or Instagram post they made, all the comments said "Make Skate 3 again."
Make Skate, yeah,
all of them.
I would take like a fucking HD remastered.
Did we have this conversation at some point?
I feel like we've talked about it.
Sounds very familiar to me. I feel like we've talked about this.
I fucking love that game, so probably.
Yeah.
I was always too fat to be a skater boy, but it really it brought out the Sum 41 kid in me every time I played it. I was like, yeah, man, but wasn't able to be about that life.
Jeez, going back to you, how was your Thanksgiving?
No, it was good. My mother and brother came up from North Carolina, and I haven't seen them in some time. So that was good. I didn't have to work. It was a little hectic at work the day before, and a couple days prior to, just because of the nature of what I'm doing for a living, the holidays and stuff. But it was, generally speaking, it was very good, man. So I can't complain. What about you? How was Toledo, rather?
Toledo, yeah, it was good. It was real small. It was just my parents and my grandmother, and no complaints. Cheated on my diet a bunch, and it was awesome. Like,
there you go.
No regrets.
Oh, I saw the
about
Snapchat.
Yeah, dude, the breakfast I got.
Yeah,
there's this
like
place we go
else.
to that I would literally drive to Toledo to go to. Their plates are like, I'm not even exaggerating, three of my face. Like that big.
Oh shit!
They make all their omelets with 4 or 5 eggs. Then you get like a mountain of hash browns, and like
what does that run you?
And it's super cheap. All of it's like $9, like for an omelet and stuff. It's not bad at all. And it was really weird being in there because it was the Ohio State Michigan game was that day, and Sylvania, it's a suburb of Toledo. It's right near the Michigan state line, so half of the waitresses were wearing Michigan stuff and half were wearing Ohio State stuff. Yeah. So I tripped one of the waitresses with Michigan gear and it was all good. We laughed. She didn't, but whatever. It was cool.
Yeah. she was a poor sport about it.
Yeah.
She
really
told everybody
in retrospect, I shouldn't have done it to someone who had a full tray of food, but whatever. Go Bucks. That's all I got to say.
Whatever. She got fired because I told her boss that she spit in my food. It's fine. It's cool. She'll be all right.
Frags, move it on to you. But yeah, my Thanksgiving was great. I couldn't complain about it. We're going back in December to see her for Christmas. My mother will be going to the Philippines, so my dad, myself, and Jet are going to go out there. Frags, how was your Thanksgiving, man? And what games have you been playing?
Thanksgiving was all right. I had a good hearty meal of Chef Boyardee spaghetti and meatballs that weren't mine that I had to replace. And I drank a whole bottle of vodka. That was just
Jesus. There you go.
Liquid. It wasn't like a big bottle. It was one of the smaller bottles, but
yeah.
It wasn't a big bottle. It was a 750. It's not that big.
It wasn't a handle.
Yeah.
If you put your fucking mind to it, every bottle is a fucking small bottle.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. It's just
yeah, man. But you're out there trying to make it on your own out there.
Just living my life, doing my thing.
Yeah, I've had a couple Thanksgivings and Christmases like that with just Jet and myself.
Yeah, it wasn't the first time, so it wasn't too big a deal.
I remember once a couple Christmases ago, I was in bed with Jet in Columbus by myself in a 6-person house because everyone had left, and I couldn't make it back to my parents. And it was the day that it was like second or third year the PS4 was out, and those hackers attacked PSN. So I had all these games I was going to sit there and play and I couldn't play any of them because they took down PSN on Christmas Day. So
When I moved to North Carolina, and I didn't know fuck anybody, and like my saving grace was going to be, hey, online video games, and it was the infamous 2011. Like it was down for like 35 days.
Oh,
The
shit.
hackening.
The
I
PS3.
just moved to North Carolina, and I was
Yeah.
like,
The hackening.
what the fuck am I gonna do? It was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, that shit sucked. I remember
Yeah.
we got a lot of free games out of it though, which was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played like Dragon Age Inquisition for like 26 hours in 2 days, like over Christmas Eve, because it was the only like single
Yeah.
meaty like
Yeah.
single player game I had. Like I just
Yeah, I remember that vividly.
blew.
Hmm.
Anyway, playing any games though, Frags? What you been playing?
Honestly, I got into I've been having this Magic the Gathering itch, and I read reviews that the most recent Magic the Gathering game just wasn't up to par with the other ones and stuff, and it was like, oh man, I really want to play like a card game, and I don't. Hearthstone really doesn't do it for me, but I got into Elder Scrolls Legends, and it is fairly similar to Hearthstone. It's got a 2-lane mechanic, and it uses the Elder Scrolls lore as opposed to like World of Warcraft lore,
Mm-hmm.
which if I had to choose one or the other, it would definitely be the Elder Scrolls. Even though I'm not, I don't want you to think that I'm some kind of like lore hound of this, like, oh, I know everything there is to know. But to me, the Elder Scrolls stuff is a little more interesting than the WoW stuff. Excuse me. But yeah, I started playing a lot of that, and it was real fun. They even have like a phone app that works just like the PC game. Man, it all ties in together. It's super fun, especially if you're into like card games and stuff.
Huh, it's interesting you say that, because I definitely agree that Elder Scrolls maybe has stronger lore. Because if you take the time, like even like Elder Scrolls Online,
I think they do.
yeah,
Well,
there are literal like books written in the games. Like if you take the time to read all the like world building and stuff in there. Which
yeah, but WoW's been around for a long time. Like I feel like WoW.
To hell with being around for a long time.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying there are plenty of like real life books written about the lore of World of Warcraft.
I'm talking about just like in-game stuff, though. I guess really.
Oh, okay.
Stuff that
You
you're
think about the
exposed to.
storytelling though in the two games.
Yeah, but
Elder Scrolls wins hands down.
What I was gonna say though,
That's subjective.
Yeah, that's subjective. But what I was gonna say is that I really feel like Blizzard has the stronger character lineup, which is better for card games. Like I'm trying to think about characters I would care about at all in an Elder Scrolls like card game, and I can't really like think of any.
That's because
As opposed to like Hearthstone, where you have
kill
like
them all.
Sylvana. Yeah, because you can kill everyone, and So I'm just curious, like, what are the cards like? Are they just like, oh, there's like a dark wolf or something? Or are there actual like characters in the game? Like, is there a Dragonborn card? Like,
Yeah. There's I have a deck that's Uncano. It's an Uncano's Cunning or whatever, and he's in there. A lot of the characters do come from Skyrim, like the actual characters, but there's other characters. But let me see. There's Lydia, the House Carl. There's Jarl Bolgroff or whatever. Brynjolf. There's the dragons. There's Parthenax and
dragon.
Yeah, and what's his name? Alduin and stuff like that. So they do actually have like full characters that are really powerful and stuff like that. But a lot of them are just regular creature character decks, Whiterun Guard, just Land Strider, whatever they call it. There's a lot of stuff.
Generic stuff in there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, of course. But it's all stuff that ties into the game. I mean, there are wolves and tigers and stuff like that, but it's all stuff that you will have encountered in any other games.
Okay, well, let's say, all right, lore aside, characters aside, is it fun to play? Is it a solid card game?
Yeah, it's absolutely fun. It's the way that they have like the classes based, like you can pick your race at the very beginning, and that race, be it Imperial, Khajiit,
Red Guard,
any of those depend on some of the cards that you unlock later when you level up and stuff, because those characters have like strength and will, or you go with the God damn it, I can't think of the name, the lizard guys, Argonians. You go with the Argonians, and they're cunning and something else. I don't know, like there's different colors in each. They're just and you get legendary cards based on those characters that you pick
Oh,
from the beginning.
So you have a like set character type from the get go. You can't.
Yeah, you can switch. Yeah, you can swap at any point. But
so if you swap, do you respec and get different cards? How does that work?
No. Okay. It's just you can
start building a new
anyway.
deck with like the new stuff that you'll get from the
yeah. But
So
you'll keep all your cards.
So do you have several like deck slots then?
Yeah. I've got a whole bunch of deck slots.
That's cool.
My deck is huge.
You got a huge deck for those slots.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
That's good.
I said I wouldn't be like this, so I'm gonna honor it.
I've seen you having to like stifle like a toothy smile a few times.
Does it look like I'm physically uncomfortable?
Yeah, it looks like you feel like shit, but you're happy about it.
You're like holding a massive
You're like, ooh, I got
right
a
now.
poop, but that turns me
Right.
on. That's what you look like. So
Yeah.
just want you to know. You've been playing anything else, Frags?
I mean, just the usual, just the PUBG, and I mean, me and you played some HOTS, and I've been kind of dipping my toes back into that a bit lately because that wasn't the first time in the last few weeks that I played it.
I'm kind of itching to play a little bit after the podcast, honestly.
Yeah, I played. That's what I was playing right before. I was doing that. You know, it's starting to try to get back into that. It's really the only MOBA that I'll touch. But yeah,
It seems to be the right speed of MOBA for me.
It is. It's really
like where it's not like super overwhelming. Where it's like, oh yeah, you have to build like these certain items, otherwise you suck.
Yeah, see, that's my favorite part about it is because you don't have to like spec a character. Like instead of actually having to like buy items that go with your character or whatever, each character has like, you know, once you level up and you get to unlock something, you have like a multiple things that you can unlock, and each thing will differentiate your character, but you don't have to go to like a store and go to attack items and be like, okay, I want this down here, so I'm gonna have to
I've got to build this specific fucking blade, otherwise like I'm not gonna have enough crit damage, and so then I'm gonna fucking lose.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as you know, singled out into like single solitary items and specific super specific builds. It's a little more broader, but at the same time it does get its own kind of specific in terms of character builds.
I remember I had a friend try and like teach me how to play League of Legends. He's like, all right, now you need to go buy this like belt and stuff. I'm like, why? He's like, you just need it. Like and I was like, all right, like I'm never going to learn how to play this. Like
that's what turned me off of the game.
To learn, like I think Dota's really cool, but I just would like I don't have the time to sit there and learn about it. I just think it's cool, you know.
I think if I was gonna pick one up, like a MOBA, I would probably play Smite.
I like
Smite's cool. I've watched some Smite play.
Like the skill shot aspect of it.
Paragon. I mean, I like Paragon.
Oh, I've always wanted to try that.
I've played that. It's real fun. It's the same vein as Smite, where it's a third person over the shoulder skill shot mostly. It's probably 90% skill shot if I'm going to be honest. But I like the look of it more than I like the Smite.
It's an epic game.
The Smite film.
I like this, but the Smite has like the fucking like
the gods and stuff. Yeah, but like,
that's so cool to me. I'm a sucker for that.
The lore for Paragon is more sci-fi, and I really do like sci-fi shit. Like when it comes to fantasies, I'm like a sci-fi fantasy type. I don't mind traditional fantasy and high fantasy type stuff, but you know, you can just give me a tinge of sci-fi and something like, oh, did you say laser guns? You know, like I get excited
full
about it.
Disclosure, I haven't seen Paragon at all, but I do fuck with sci-fi, so I'd probably like it.
Yeah,
it's because it's based on,
it looks pretty good, man.
Yeah, there's like 3 different. I'm not going to go super into it, but there's like 3 different worlds, and they're all summoned to this one world. And the people from one world have this certain ability, and are mostly like beast type creatures. And then you have like a human type world, and you have like a mostly mech type world. And it's just
okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then like
it's a visually good looking game too.
You said it's epic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Unreal Engine 4.
Nice. Okay, then it will look.
I think it's free to play, like through so if you have Fortnite or anything, it's in the same launcher. You just
since you have the one account, you can play it on PC and PlayStation and keep the same account, the same levels, and the same unlocks and everything.
See, I think that's such an underrated thing people always ignore. Like I wish Destiny did that shit. Like I'd probably play more Destiny if it let me play on PC also.
I'd probably play Destiny.
I wish Rocket League let me do it.
Oh, that one's really frustrating because it's the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah, just give me like items and stuff. Yeah, so that's cool, man. You play anything else, Frags?
No.
Okay. I appreciate this succinct answer. Anyway, I've been playing some Heroes of the Storm. I streamed like 4 or 5 hours of it yesterday. I was actually surprised how much fun I had playing that again. I just need a video game reset. I've been looking at all these games trying to figure out what to play, and I just like, you ever look at your Steam library and you're like, I want to play something, but I just don't want to play any of this right now.
None of these
look
don't
good
look
to
fun.
me right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hopped back into Persona. I don't know if I'd hopped back into that since the last podcast, but that
Nice.
super stylish, super fun game. Really weird. It's got its own particular style, but I enjoy it.
It's cool, man. It's a cool aesthetic they have.
This
I've never played them, but they look cool as fuck.
Yeah. Let me reiterate that the Switch is fucking awesome, because the trip both ways to Toledo, it's about anywhere between 7.5 to 9 hours when my mom and the dog come along trip. And it just breezed by. Like, it was amazing. Like, I just played Binding of Isaac and FIFA and all sorts of shit on the trip, and it was awesome. And I also I watched Blade Runner, so I totally want to play some like futuristic games soon. I can't wait for what's that game, that Cyberpunk 2022 or something, or what is it?
Oh, the CD Projekt Red game.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I want.
I
some.
thought it was 20. I thought it was 2099 or some shit.
Yeah,
like 2077.
2077 sounds right. It's somewhere in there.
There's a few numbers there. I mean, so I'll give you a ballpark. It's either 2018 to 3000, somewhere in there.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've just been playing a lot of bits and pieces of games here and there, trying to I've been trying to keep my eyes off of all the sales, because I know how many games I have to beat anyway. I'm like, I cannot, like, what was it I almost bought today? I almost bought Assassin's Creed. I almost bought the new Wolfenstein, because on Humble Bundle it's like $26. It just came out.
Oh shit! I got my Humble Monthly. Hold up, let me buy that right now.
Dude, it's H1Z1 for Humble Monthly, by the way, which is funny.
Really?
Yeah, H1Z1, you get some crates or something.
Shit.
I don't know, but I'm trying to avoid that. I know those games will still be there when I'm done. Like, I really want to beat Dishonored and everything too. But before I go into any more of that, I feel like I've talked about my backlog of games. I want to give enough space to the topic at hand today that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, we're going to be here for a while.
And it's not just... So I wanted to talk about Battlefront 2, but not just about Battlefront 2. We kind of skirted around the idea our last podcast. But I mainly wanted to talk about some of the backlash around Battlefront 2, what's going on with Battlefront 2, like how we think they could have handled it, that kind of stuff, but also how this affects the industry moving forward, what our thoughts are on like loot boxes and like pay to win type games. I just want to hear what everyone has to say about that. So, if you've been living under the rock, if you've been living under
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
if you've been living under his bed, first of all, like, you shouldn't be under there, because if he finds
That's
you,
weird.
like, he's a nice dude, but I
Probably
don't
kill
think he
you,
would take
dude.
too
He's
kindly
a
to
big
it.
dude.
Yeah.
People's elbow is a real bitch, you know.
Jumanji in
Yeah.
theaters now, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
People's elbow.
If you've been living under a rock, Battlefront 2 has had a lot of controversy surrounding it over the past few months. It was kind of approached with a lot of skepticism from the get-go, because last year's Battlefront, even though I played it, I enjoyed it. I think you enjoyed it to a certain extent, right, Cheese?
Yeah, it was just too short. The level cap was like 50, and there was nothing to do. It was
it was short, but it was a really like pretty game. But there was stuff that was weird about it, like you had to find tokens to get a hero and get in a vehicle, and
It was like 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I
felt
think
like
probably
it felt like a good-looking $40 game or $30 game rather than $60.
Sounded
I guess, you know?
great.
But all those criticisms aside, people approached this one with a lot of skepticism, because they didn't know if this one would if they would take any of the criticism to heart and make improvements. Well, they had a story, but along with the story, they added loot boxes and credits to unlock heroes. All the heroes weren't unlocked. They weren't just DLC. They just were locked behind a credit wall. And before the game came out, like, people had played the beta and they're like, I mean, this is okay, but it still was kind of a little bit underwhelming. But the controversy surrounding it is there was numbers being thrown around that it would take over 2,000 hours to unlock a hero. To put in perspectives, heroes like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and Han Solo were locked from the beginning, which, you know, are the classic heroes. And like the BT heroes were the ones that were available.
Is it Reddit? Or credit to the guy on Reddit who did that research, by the way.
Yeah. There's always someone who's willing to, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, someone did the math, and it was like you said, astronomical.
And then, so in response to that, EA came out with some bullshit response on Reddit, which then became the most downvoted post of all time on Reddit, talking about how building a sense of accomplishment in the player and unlocking these heroes and stuff, which everyone, you know, it's PR speak.
Yeah. I always feel really accomplished when I spend a shitload of money. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it was less about the reply itself and more about the audacity that they would think that in this day and age, people wouldn't see that message and immediately go
and just see right through it.
Yeah, exactly. You have got to be so full of shit.
Yeah.
Like you really think that that's an acceptable answer in this day and age? You're talking to denizens of the internet. You're talking to people like we wouldn't be making these kind of outrageous claims, and we wouldn't be raising so much hell about this stuff on a forum like Reddit if we weren't able to see through stupid shit like that. And you're gonna just blatantly throw this, you know, copy paste right out of your book reply to us. Like, please get real. And I think it was more of a like reaction of being slapped in the face than anything.
Yeah. And let me go back, by the way. It was 2,000 hours. I think it was like $2,000. It was over $2,000 if you bought enough.
Oh
to get the credits.
It
was 40 hours.
4,000.
4,500.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember it being like 40 hours per hero.
Yeah, it was a stupid amount. Like
it was something like you'd have to play 8 hours a day for every day for a year to unlock everything.
Yeah,
I really like how you went back and be like, oh yeah, hey, remember that horrible thing I said? It's actually worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the thing is also like, first of all, I don't know what all these like PR majors are doing, but I feel like every time there's some sort of backlash and they come out with some sort of cookie cutter PR response, like everyone just sees right through it anyway. Like who does that make happy? Like why are they teaching these sort of PR like corporate style responses when that literally doesn't help it? I feel like there's never been a corporate like response to something like this happening where someone has been like, I guess some of that makes sense. Is PR just seen as a lose-lose situation, or is
I think it's one of those things where you have good companies that have like a super really personable and hands-on approach and kind of white glove everything, and then you have these like super mega corporations like EA where it's just like, you know, this is the way we've done it since, you know, fucking 1997, so I mean we're just gonna keep doing it, and it's just like this traditionalist fucking thing where they just keep doing the same shit, and like we've operated this way this long, and like this is how it's done. And I've seen that in the corporate world where it's just like, you're like, man, why don't we do it this way, because it kind of makes sense. Like you want to be personable about it, and like, no, yeah, we can't do that. Like this is the list of responses we can make, and this is how we do it, and we just replace. It's like playing Mad Libs with their fucking thing. It's like, we're really sorry about blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's what you know. It feels like a fill in the blank thing. So it's so disingenuous.
It's
like
a fucking Mad Lib.
Like
it's really a fucking Mad Lib.
You should have just said nothing. And I just feel like no one's getting taught. Like, it just feels like companies are making misstep after misstep on these public responses.
I feel like that's the core of the issue, like at the heart of it, and it's not just. I just feel like it's, you know, it like they push the moral envelope further and further each time, and then all PR does is, like you said, fill in the blank with like they're just damage control.
Well, you have to think about
whatever cookie cutter response possible, because like they're pushing the envelope further and further every time, like until EA fucks up so bad.
Like I feel like
this is damage control.
I feel like what we're saying though is like that damage control is almost just making everything worse. You know?
Yeah. Well, you think about
attempt at, it's like such a piss poor attempt at damage control that it's actually just worse than getting like a straight up response. You know.
Well, think about like juxtapose it to like pop culture now, where it's just like you have some crazy like scandal come out, and then you just have somebody have a press release, like the formulaic thing where like accusation comes out, week goes by, person releases like a press release that says, I'm really sorry for the way that I acted in like 1983, you know, or whatever, and then everybody's like, okay,
Yeah,
And
or
I think that we're getting to the
goes
point in our
away.
culture where it's like, okay, this shit doesn't work anymore. Like, we know you're not sorry. Like, we know that it actually is just a fucking thing to like repair your broken
reputation.
ass fucking relationship or reputation. And I think that especially with the advent of the internet and how prevalent information has become and how fast everything moves and people learn about stuff, that it is not adequate enough to be like, yeah, I'm sorry. You know, it used to be like a press release would go out and it's just like in the fucking like New York Times or something, or, you know, whatever. But now it's like everybody sees that and it's all over the internet and everybody can. I mean, you have forums where people just come together and like, wait, this is bullshit. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what you're saying does not make sense.
Yeah, but
and
isn't
it
it
should
still
not be this way.
like a risk versus reward situation where somebody sitting at a big fucking table somewhere in Manhattan says like, "Hey, what happens if this?" Is that it? Like, look at the BP oil spill. Like, don't think that conversation was had at some point? Like, well, hey, what happens if shit goes horribly wrong? And someone says, well, you know, history tells us that we get in front of a podium on CNN and say we're sorry. Someone will forget about it in 4 or 5 days.
That's true. There's probably there's some research behind that. I feel like I've been seeing sales figures about this, and it's not been good with Battlefront 2, though.
I fucking hope
so.
not.
Maybe this
Fuck them.
I feel like to a certain extent you definitely are right, Cheese. Maybe this is just like the high water mark where people are finally like, wait a second, like we've been fed this stuff for so long now, like enough, you know. The thing I found interesting on the game subreddit I browse often, like a month or two ago after the beta came out and people were starting to like see some of the stuff with loot boxes and like credits and stuff, another post came out that was actually pretty highly upvoted where they're like, we hear you, here's what we're doing to fix some of that stuff, or we're reworking on it, we're constantly going to be working on it. And people are like, all right, you know, as long as they hear us, they take heat, you know, they hear what the community wants and they make it. Like, I don't mind grinding for stuff as long as it's something that I can attain. And then the game came out with that bullshit that we mentioned earlier, the amount of hours and the monetary investments. It's like, oh, it turns out that your PR statement earlier, you're basically just lying to us. So that's it, you know?
I honestly think one of the worst things they did was do something like that. Like, we hear you, we understand, we're going to try to talk with our team and rectify the problem. And then, you know, a little while later, they're like, hey, we cut the money cost down by 75%. But what they didn't tell you was that they also cut the XP rate gain by 75%. So it took just as long, but they just lowered the values so it looked better. And it was just that, going back to what I said earlier, like, you can't just keep slapping us in the face with this thing and thinking that we're not going to like see this.
Yeah, I don't know how people think.
People are too informed now.
Yeah, well, people take the time to be informed now too, which is crazy. Like, there's a thing going on with Destiny where like over time throughout the day they would lower your XP returns. Like, it would get to the point where you're hardly getting any XP, and it was like a hidden thing. And then someone figured it out. Like, they were making it harder to grind over the course of the day for the people that played a bunch. And their response, like, basically they tweaked it a little bit so you're getting like an extra 8%, but still, like, everyone's like, now that people are privy to this sort of knowledge that, you know, how they try and squeeze out more time and more money from you, it's really just some of the corporate nature of the business kind of rearing its ugly head into these games that we love, which is what's disappointing. Like, a few things are really disappointing. Like, we just saw Visceral Games go down, the guys that make Dead Space. Like, geez, you love Dead Space.
I love it.
But Visceral Games got absorbed by EA and then shut down. They were making a Star Wars game led by one of the heads that was behind Uncharted 1 and 2, Amy Hennig. And it was a Star Wars based game, and in their release about that, they were talking about how basically they referred to it like it wasn't game as a service. They didn't see it having a long tail or making them a lot of money, so they shut it down, basically. That's the long and short of it, basically.
I think that we're getting to the point now where the games industry has grown, and it's gone from like people that are super passionate about making games and making these experiences into, you know, corporate people getting involved and getting very heavy-handed with the, I guess you would call it like profiteering off of what is essentially like licenses and, you know, big name titles and you know, flashy stuff, and they want you to just buy into it and then reap the benefits of your purchase for as long as possible until you've shelled out as much money as you're possibly going to, and then they're like, oh yeah, we just announced version 2, you know, fucking Battlefront 2, and it's gonna be really great, and we like everything's gonna be awesome. We added a campaign and blah blah blah, and everybody's like, oh man, you know what, maybe they will do it right this time. And then you fucking pre-order and you get your game and you get fucked again.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Another wrinkle I wanted to introduce in this discussion, this is kind of developing, but apparently there's word going around that Lucasfilm behind Star Wars, obviously, they're owned by Disney, they've been privy to the knowledge of all this loot case stuff and actually pushed some of it onto EA during the development of the game. I'll have to find some sources on it. I've just been hearing murmurs of stuff like that, which I don't want to report as fact, but does seem kind of believable when you look at Disney's forays into video games. Like, they shut down Disney Infinity, their Toys to Life sort of thing. It seemed like they were doing everything they could to get out of video games because it wasn't making their bottom line bigger. So I don't know. It makes you wonder where the corporate pressure came from. If it's a mix of EA and Disney, and it just made this really awful sort of monster at the bottom of it. But at the end of the day, it really just seems like the consumer loses because, I mean, Star Wars is a beloved franchise. Like, I wasn't even super into Star Wars when I was a little kid, but for some reason growing up, there was something always nostalgic about it, and I love going to see the movies, and I think it's awesome. And EA has this 10-year exclusivity deal that's now being apparently looked at again because, you know, this whole fiasco just makes you wonder, like, who's actually pulling the strings behind the scene. And it sucks for the consumers, but it also sucks for the devs who got a chance to work on this game and really wanted to make something awesome. But now everything, you know, because it looks awesome, and I remember the first time I played the first one, it controlled well too, but all these, like, business decisions basically fucking over these, like, passionate developers and consumers of the product. So
yeah, I don't feel like, and just full disclosure, I don't feel like any like ill will towards any of the developers that worked on the game or anything like that, because I know that they're there to they're there to work on their passion, because they definitely got into video games to make fucking really cool video games. And when you get an opportunity to work at a super AAA, you know, studio like EA, you don't just say, nah, I'm good, I'm gonna keep working on these like 5 indie games. No, you take the money, and that's where you kind of like
the opportunity.
Make it.
Yeah.
And you have a really good chance to make a name for yourself. The only unfortunate part is they have no onus over where the game goes, like how it turns out.
Yeah.
They're just told, like, all right, this is what we want to do. You have to develop this system and blah blah blah, and then we're gonna do all this bullshit and etc. And even if they have like the guts to say something like, you know, I don't think that's good for the game, then there's fucking 50 or 500 other video game developers that are dying to take that job.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just want to point that. I just want to get that out there because I don't want anybody to be mad at the wrong people.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say too. There are plenty of people involved that are not that maybe were not trying to be complicit in all of the bad decisions that were going on, but they were just doing their job and trying to make the best game that they possibly could. So it just sucks that they were caught in the crossfire. And the thing that sucks is they might be the ones that actually are caught in the crossfire, you know, if layoffs happen, which really sucks. When,
I mean, it sucks, but if you do, it's totally cliche, but if you do vote with your wallet and you're like, yes, okay, fuck EA, like, I'm not going to buy any more of their shit. Yeah, that's going to cause huge problems at EA. And, you know, they will lose their jobs, but I don't think that they would lose their passion to make video games.
While we're on the topic,
definitely
don't lash out at anybody on social media, because that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
We've seen it before, where people lash out at devs and specific people on social media that have sort of, you know, an iron in the fire, so to speak. But, you know, the powers that be, EA namely, and whomever else with the money, like, some poor developer, and like don't jump on the internet and set somebody aflame.
Death threats and bullshit.
Death threats and whatnot. That's
yeah.
I saw a story about that. I think ended up being fake, but still,
if you're not,
it happens every day. People telling people to kill themselves. And shit.
I know,
it's just so awful.
If like the entire basis of your argument or the point of your argument culminates in telling someone to kill himself, you're intellectually bankrupt.
Yeah.
Right.
This is tangential, but I uninstalled CS and I don't have any
Pardon me?
yeah, I uninstalled Counter-Strike and I don't feel like I'm going to reinstall it. I'm just going to keep enjoying watching like pro play, which disappoints me because I really love that game, but I just got so tired of going in and playing with someone that's like, yo, kill yourself, you're the worst. And I'm just like, dude, why am I slogging through this right now?
Can we clip that for the records?
Yeah, no.
Brett
I mean,
says
it's someday I'll probably reinstall and play it again because I'll have an itch. But I'm really trying. It was also cutting into a lot of my game time, and I wanted to play some other games. And it just
because I've been in that situation. Not like you said, it's relative, but I've been in that situation where like you have that like epiphany kind of.
Yeah.
You like look at yourself and like look at the situation. Maybe you're in the middle of a match and you're not doing so hot, and someone does tell you to kill yourself, and you're like, "Why the actual fuck am I sitting here?"
Well,
doing
the thing for me, and before I don't want to turn this into a full blown topic, but I was so like fucking disappointed and just messed up about what had happened, like that I went and made like a post on it in the subreddit. I'm like, why are we like doing this? Like what do you think like tilting your teammate and telling him to kill themselves and all sorts of shit is gonna do? Like, that's literally not going to accomplish anything. I don't know why I was just screaming into the void, and I've seen other posts like this before, and it always comes down to people coming in, they downvote and they say like, it's the internet, man, get over it. Like, what do you expect? It's the internet. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be a fucking shithole is the point.
Like, it's like, I've been playing video games forever. When I ran like my amateur like Call of Duty team and everything, like the one tenant besides being good, like that I always tried to like stand on was that you have a level of sportsmanship with your teammates and the other team. Like, trash talk is great and everything, but afterwards, like, I try and we don't cheat, we don't try and pull one over on anyone, any of that shit. We always had, like, this is back before MLG existed. It was just game battles, and yeah, I wish you would stop opening shit with your teeth.
It's crazy. Opens a beer with his teeth.
This is who I am. All right, just
yeah. But this is almost worse than what I'm talking about right now. Anyway,
fucker.
But yeah, so it just disappoints me. I don't think, like, I don't know, the age of the average gamer is going up. I'm 25 now. I've been around the block, I guess you could say, as far as like online video games go. But it's just disappointing. That's all I've got to say about that. It's just disappointing because now there's a game I really like playing and watching that I can't play anymore because the community is so toxic.
Let's see if this has come full circle. I'm grasping this. Do you think the studios and developers are looking at there's little conversations on Reddit looking at the de-evolution of the people that are buying their video games, and they're like, yeah, they'll go for that.
Yeah, like maybe just pull, like, fuck it, they'll buy it.
Right.
I think some devs are kind of like that. There's some predatory style, like, for all intents and purposes, Battlefront 2's monetization was kind of predatory because it's one thing if it was cosmetics, but a lot of the backlash we didn't even mention was because it was a lot of it, they were like pay to win.
Mm-hmm.
You get star cards, what they were called, that would give you like percentage advantages over other players.
Yeah, actually, the one article that we were looking at prior to the podcast talked about, the Christmas noobs and shit coming in and to basically, unsurmountable odds, and you just get struck down by anybody with anything good. Like, I can't remember exactly what it was saying, but and just above and beyond cosmetic loot, basically. So.
Yeah.
Like just to think, the gaming community, I feel, has accepted that loot boxes and stuff were going to be a thing. Okay, we get it, but there was an acceptable model that everybody had come to terms with. You're going to make your loot boxes. Sure, we might pay for them. I mean, more often than not, people will pay. Yeah, but we want to pay for cosmetics, things that, like you said, like don't have a bearing on the game at large. Give me cosmetic items, give me gun skins, give me different costumes, give me
different colored stormtroopers or some shit, dog.
Yeah, like, exactly. Whatever, But the fact that they saw this model and they had to go with their own model because obviously they're EA and they want to have their own thing and they want to. I mean, I this is all
It's in
just
the game, dude.
yeah.
It's in the game.
Obviously, and
Oh my god.
they don't want to base their model off of this is all just off my head. This is kind of like this own EA conversation going on in my head. I can just see him go, we don't want to base our model off of the other games because that's the other games, that's not us. People won't see that model and go, oh, that's the EA model. They'll say, oh, that's the generic loot box model. What can we do to push this model in a different way?
Differentiate yourself separate yourself from the pack, like the sea of other stuff.
How about if we put key parts of the game, things that'll actually make you a little bit better, and put those in our loot boxes? Then that would incentivize people more to buy loot boxes, but it didn't do that. Instead of incentivizing people to buy more loot boxes, it pissed them off because now they're forced to buy them if they want to be good. The previous model, the original model that's already there, it's an option. It always has been an option, and it should always be an option and not a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key word in all of it. That was the incentivize, the carrot.
And I honestly feel this comes from a place of either generational or social disconnect with the core audience of who's playing these games. Like, I feel like the people who are sitting on desks 40 stories up behind a desk, they don't care. All they see are numbers and metrics and pie charts and graphs or whatever on a piece of paper, and they just want to know, why isn't this game making this much money? I feel like with this game we could be making twice as much money. See, with this game we made X amount of money, but on the next iteration I want to make Y amount of money.
Oh yeah, that's evident if you look at what happened with like Square Enix. Like, they were disappointed at Tomb Raider sales, even though they were good. Hitman they were super disappointed in, and they even sold. The company bought back its freedom, even though that game sold decently well for what it was. And that opens up the. I know we're almost at an hour here. We'll try and keep it succinct, but what the other part I wanted to talk about here is, like, what does this mean for like the games industry as we look at it as a whole? Because moving forward, it seems like more and more games. There's still good single player experiences out there, but now you're seeing like loot boxes slowly leak into all of our titles. Like, everyone wants their little piece of the games as a service. Everyone wants their little piece of the loot box. Mm-hmm. Even Uncharted 4 had I think you could buy some stuff in that game, but it had its own multiplayer element. People are trying, and you said, Cheese, the carrot on the stick. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, every game now, they're trying to put just one more thing just out in front of you so you keep playing that game. At what point?
The difference is, though, I feel like it's okay for games to do that, to incentivize you playing more, but it's about how you execute it and getting people to shell out, thousands of dollars, essentially, is what we're talking about. Literally thousands of dollars on a $60 game is not the right way to go about doing that. It's you make good gameplay and you build a really good game that has solid mechanics and is actually enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And sure, I won't have any problem spending, like fucking maybe like $10, $20 a month or something on like stupid little fucking whatever bullshit, whatever it is, however they decide to monetize it, that's fine. But if the core gameplay isn't there, then there's no fucking reason for me to spend any more money on it.
Yeah, I'm seeing a trend of these publishers and devs wanting their cake and eating it too, meaning they're charging full price for a game, $60, and then also putting loot boxes in it. I feel like the gaming community, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, gamers, whatever you want to call us, nerds, whatever. We're more forgiving of a game. Like, let's look at Counter-Strike, $20. Where it's a lower buy-in or free buy-in that also has loot boxes and is balanced correctly, like beyond all the cosmetics they add in. That seems like part of this whole discussion that I don't mind if it survives, because if you buy a game for $20, you really enjoy it. They do focus on the balancing of the game, and a way to support it and keep it moving forward is to buy a loot box every once in a while. Yeah, sure, whatever.
That's exactly how it should be.
Yeah, that's a much a significantly less bitter pill to swallow. Is like a game too, maybe it's early access or a developer or a product that you trust a little, and they're like, hey, the game's $20. Like, look, we want to make a product that you guys are going to enjoy. we're working very hard. You know, a little bit here, a little bit there goes a long way. You know, something that's not like, because correct me if I'm wrong. There surely is a $60 purchase of that Battlefront, and then there's probably a gold edition or like a legendary edition.
Yeah, there's always
like on up to
There was like a
$100
fucking
or more.
really crazy fucking version of the game that you could buy, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So-
there
Wasn't there
is.
one that was like fucking super, like in the high hundreds or something?
Isn't it
I
a
think.
little bit easier? Like I don't know, it is for me. Like, hey, like maybe I'll support this product because I believe in it. Like, yeah, $20 or whatever for a loot box or whatever the fuck it is that I'm giving you money for, be it a loot box or what the shit ever.
Yeah.
But now we're talking like, you know, that times 10 million into the really gray weird area that would not the conversation that we're having. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
I just wonder. I wonder if the community at large will ever, like, I wonder if this is the sticking point finally, where we're like, I'm not spending $60 on a game anymore. If you've a bunch of loot boxes in it and you expect me to pay more, like that's just not right. It just feels not right.
It depends on how they're executed, man.
I think in their hubris with doing such a thing, EA has lit a fire up underneath the ass of this whole loot box gambling thing, because there's governments and there's people higher up in certain things that are starting to champion this idea that, you know, hey, this is gambling. This is straight up a slot machine. Of course, there's no return investment on money. Maybe if you look at things like CS:GO and stuff like that, that can, you know, there's a
marketplace.
Sort of.
Yeah. But you know, like I believe it was Hawaii. I don't remember if it was a congressman or a mayor or governor or whatever.
I think it was a senator.
His direct quote was, "We didn't allow Joe Camel to sell cigarettes to your kids, so why should we allow Star Wars to sell gambling to them?"
Yeah.
You know, like it's not in what is it? Not Bolivia, Bavaria,
Belgium.
There you go. I knew it was a B.
Yep.
The Belgium straight up came out and was like, "This is gambling. We're gonna have to take a look at this." And I think they're bringing it to the EU, you know, as a thing.
It.
Yeah, and they're investigating the whole thing. So in EA's, you know, greed and want for just to make every little piece of money out of this game, all because they had to put game mechanics, essential game mechanics for the game in
blind boxes.
In blind boxes. It's you know, put a pretty helmet in it, put a pretty gun. No one would have batted an eye, but because you gave somebody a 20% more damage on said gun, or your StarCraft fighter goes, you know, 5% faster in the air or banks harder.
Yeah, they
whatever,
like turning in there, even the little minute details. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like because you made somebody better by chance, and now I have to sit there and spend money and try to enroll this slot machine and try to get something to counter that, because it's something that everybody has. You know, like, dude, oh man, all because of that. They just could have just made the ship, you know, look cool.
Did you guys hear? Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I think I know what you're about to say.
Hear or see, or I guess more of hear. It was like an audio recording, I think, of like it was like the president of EA or something like that. It was like talking about monetizing weapon reloads.
Oh yeah. He's talking
remember
about
that?
Yeah, he's talking about monetizing weapon reloads. Yeah.
You know, yeah. When you run it, he was like, yeah, when you run out of ammo, and then blah blah blah, talking about like charging people money for like more ammo.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking serious, dog?
That's what I'm talking about.
This is where it gets weird for me, because I think that ultimately, I think that the beyond like all regulations and whatever, I think the consumers have the ultimate control. And I think honestly that if there is a market for this, which it is sounding like it's very resoundingly not, there's no market for this. But if there was, people would buy it and it would be successful. But since it is a shitty model and everybody is really banding together as far as the, you know, gaming and online gaming community, and, you know, really coming out and saying like, we don't want this, I think that will change more than
I hope it does.
Regulating it.
You were saying before you have a friend that is not really locked into gaming news every day, and even he came to approach you about, you hear what's going on with Battlefront 2?
Yeah, that's right. I forget, you know, the catalyst of the conversation, but it essentially was, we started the conversation, and it was him that asked me about it, and it was kind of like, hey, funny enough that you bring it up, and we got to chit chat, and it made it to the fray as far as someone's interest or concern, and at least news or pop culture or whatever you want to call it. So he had read an article or two and was educated a little bit, and was like, how do you feel about that? And he gave me a soapbox to stand on for a little while, which is cool. But
yeah, but the point to draw out of that too is like there are people that maybe aren't as dialed in as maybe we might be, and they're paying attention.
Yeah,
which is good because that's eliminating the buffer of like blind consumerism.
Yeah,
right? and it's crazy because
the parents of kids that are just like, oh, little Jimmy loves Star Wars, he'll love this game, shit like that. But they hear it and they're like, well, yeah, but more, it's less so now than it used to be. I feel like for sure.
And I feel like it's almost most egregious in these huge multi-platform games. So that's what makes me worried too. Like
that's because all the multi-platform games come from Super Megacorps.
I know, but it just makes me worried that it'll make the gaming community become more insular, because sometimes like that's for some people they just get their Battlefield, they get their Call of Duty, they get their they get their Madden, they get their big couple of titles, FIFA per year, and that's it. Like they're not doing indie gaming stuff. And the more and more they just see nickel and diming everywhere, I just wonder how long everyone's going to ride that train. It just
what do you think?
Worried for the future.
It will get to a breaking point. I feel like for sure.
Do you think we're on the precipice, or are we already balls deep in a gaming dark ages?
No, I think
I wouldn't call it dark ages. Not at all.
I honestly
don't think this is the darkest before the dawn kind of thing.
No, I don't feel that way at all.
No, I definitely
for every one of these incidents, you have like 50 or 100 indie game developers that are just straight slaying it, and they're white gloving it, and they're really paying attention to their really close-knit communities. Yeah. And that's what people should be investing in. If you really are passionate about video games and you really actually love them, then seriously think about like doing indie game stuff. And if EA is not your cup of tea and you fucking hate EA, then so be it. Don't buy another EA game. Take that money and look for a really fun and interesting and really cool indie game. And I honestly can say the way from what I've seen is that these indie, you want that experience. And like we were talking about earlier with the PR stuff, you want that like really hands-on and like very personal experience. You're going to get that out of an indie game. You will never get that out of Activision. You'll never get that out of EA.
Yeah.
And if you want that, that's what you want. You want somebody that's making a game that you can see as like your friend, or like somebody that you really admire, or they're making a cool experience. Put your money into that. That's the people that we want to see blow up. We don't want to see EA get any bigger, because obviously they're fucking it up super bad. So
yeah,
put your money into indie games, dude.
I'll start with something really negative and then spin it around positive to your point.
Good luck.
Some part of me does feel like you're saying Darkness Before the Dawn is somewhat representative of like the bigger mainstream titles that are going out in the industry these days. Like I remember, I think I was listening to Dude Soup or something, like Funhouse's podcast. Apparently Activision, this is secondhand, so don't take it as scripture, but I'd heard Activision had filed a patent or the like for some sort of software that was able to recognize like in multiplayer games what weapons like you do and don't have, and like if
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like if a new gun comes out and you don't have it, the algorithm might put you in more games with people that have that gun, so you see how much damage, like how good it is
to incentivize you.
If you do have that gun, it might put you in games with people without it, so you feel more dominant and your purchase was worth it. So that's like that just feels like some of the dark future of the game.
And, you're talking about Blade Runner there.
Yeah, that dystopian video game future.
Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Well, see, and it is easy to say don't buy it, and I feel a lot of resolve about that too. I haven't felt tempted to buy Battlefront 2 at all. I remember when people were talking about. I knew
as soon as I bought Battlefront 1, there's no fucking way I'd buy another.
Well, I remember like seeing commercials for it, and the beta hadn't come out, and I was like, oh, man, I really do like Star Wars. Like,
some part of me wants this though. Sure.
Yeah, maybe deep
they
down.
make a good trailer.
But the nature of these games sometimes is they are built with that carrot on the stick. Like it almost worries me to some extent. Like it is almost like we've distilled these games down to their very purest form, where it's like a drug of like a dopamine. You know, you get that shot of dopamine when you get that sweet new weapon or that sweet new skin, and it just worries me, especially like you were saying, like exposing stuff that has like gambling style elements to, you know, kids and stuff. And I think it's like I had M-rated games when I was a kid as well, like that kind of stuff. But I think the ESRB really needs to step up, and like we need to self-regulate before the government is not forced to, but before they feel compelled to, because the games industry needs to stand on its own 2 feet. So I just get really worried when the ESRB just lets a bunch of shit slide through, and these companies that sell games and these like we need to start taking the onus on ourselves to really police ourselves, you know. And that goes down as far as like parents looking at the games their kids are playing. Like, God forbid, pay fucking attention to what they're playing.
Yeah.
Every time I go somewhere,
I'm all about the fucking self-regulation shit.
So it's just like everywhere I go, like, and I see kids, they've got their face in their phone, and like, yeah, that's fine, they're playing games, that's awesome, but like all these mobile games I know for sure just have like all these loot boxes.
Yeah, dude, you ever see that? You see that clip of Jack Black on Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah, we're just building. Yeah, we're like building these little video game crack addicts, and it makes me like worried for the future. So that's like
that's crazy too. Like, does the ESRB they cover that kind of like that's all about like the gaming content in general? Does that cover like
they've historically
the gaming / addiction aspect to that?
Well, that's what some people are clamoring for now, because the ESRB was created in response to the threat of government intervention to our game. Mm-hmm. So like the ESRB was created basically to be like, hey, we're this self-policing force, and we'll certify all the games now with
because video games are art.
Stuff. Yeah.
So it's like a subjective like experience thing, and so they didn't want the government to step in and police it and say like, you know what, you guys definitely can't have this.
Yeah. So now
because it is an art form.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like you play games like Journey, or what was that one I played for Pass or Play a few months back, the underwater one. That one was
Subnautica?
No, different. It's different, but still,
Firewatch, like any of those games.
Yeah. Well, even mainstream games like Call of Duty, you can consider those art. There's a lot
absolutely.
of.
I don't think anyone could disagree with that.
Yeah, but people are clamoring now for the ESRB to like maybe step in and mention, like, maybe you should mention loot boxes are in this game. Abzu, someone in chat picked it up. Abzu, that's the game I said. That game's beautiful.
I feel like we're in a similar vein as when the ESRB had to come about, because if I recall correctly, which I probably don't, I think it was in response to like Mortal Kombat or something, right? Where it was like they were like showing the blood and the fatalities.
And they were like, I'm not very clear.
And there was a very big threat from the government for them to step in and like be like, hey, you can't sell this fucking like gory shit to our kids. And they were like, we can do this. Like the games companies came together and they're like, we can self-regulate, we can do this. And I feel like we're very much in the same vein in that area where it's like, if we don't get our shit together, then somebody's going to start telling us what we can and can't make video games about. And that is the last thing that I fucking want.
Yeah. But to take all that negativity and spin it around, like, yeah, there is definitely some darkness there. But at the same time, I sometimes feel like we're definitely in a golden age to play video games. One of the podcasts I listen to, the Giant Beastcast, he says it's the best day. When it starts, the host goes, it's the best day to be playing video games. And to some extent, I agree. Like, you look at what Nintendo's doing with the Switch these days with Zelda and Mario. There are all these great games out there without loot boxes. And as Buck was saying, or even some games with loot boxes. I watched a Counter-Strike tournament this weekend, and I was just stunned. Like, I was thinking about my, amateur Call of Duty career and how much I wanted to play like at professional tournaments and stuff, and I never imagined these huge, like 12,000 spectators in a stadium would ever show up to play a video game. And it got me thinking, I'm like, wow, that's so cool. We've got Uncharted's, and we've got people all around the world in Japan, Persona, it's just there are all these wonderful games and wonderful experiences to have everywhere, and out of that has sprouted like these awesome conventions. We all went to PAX last year, which was amazing. I'm going PAX South in January, and all these friendships that have come out of it. Like, there's so much good stuff in the gaming industry, and I think it's important for us to have discussions like this, because we need to protect that. We absolutely have to protect that. For all the salt and all the, anger we have playing these multiplayer games, it's still fucking fun. And like at the end of the day, this is a hobby.
And yeah, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun.
We
the
wouldn't
second
do it if
it stops being fun, then that's when you don't have to do it anymore.
But there are all these creators, and there are just so many people out there that care. Like, it's important for us as consumers and people that speak on the industry and people that, like, if you're even at a dinner and you're talking to someone who's not plugged in, like, what's up with, like, so what are you doing? What's up with this new Nintendo? Like, actually talking to people about these things and letting them know what's good and what isn't, that's important. And I think, the first step to solving not just games and our problems in video games, but all of our problems is having a discussion about it and figuring out where to go from there. So that's kind of what this was, I think,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Does anyone have any last words on the topic?
I just want to say, I know it's been fucking literally stomped into the fucking ground, but seriously, the number one way for you to fucking fight this stupid bullshit is to stop paying for it. Stop incentivizing them to do this shit. Just stop. And I know it sucks because you don't get that gratification of like, man, I want the new Star Wars game. I love Star Wars. That shit's so awesome. You can see the fucking, well, no, the poster's over there. Never mind. But I have a Star Destroyer poster over there. Like, I bought Battlefront 1 and it was shitty. And so I was like, I'll never fucking buy another EA Star Wars game because I just know how they are. And they've been they've had a poor rep for quite a while. I think it's finally come to a head here. And I really hope that they, pay the price for it. And the only way that's going to happen is if we all stick together as gamers, regardless of your background and what you like to play. It's going to take all of us. And, we just have to get along and agree that this is bullshit and fucking do something about it.
Yeah, and it'll go the way of online passes, which was a thing for a while that they tried.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up earlier.
Yeah.
That was a really good,
absolutely.
Comparison, I think.
Yeah. This shit does work. People stopped supporting online passes and they went away. So,
stop giving them fucking money. Just stop. It's not hard. Keep your money. Spend on something else. Spend on a game you actually enjoy. Get a DLC for a fucking game you like.
Yeah.
Something like that. Buy Skyrim VR because that shit looks dope.
I don't think I could have said it better. I agree with everything Buck said. And that's
Skyrim
that's
again.
my last word.
Buy Skyrim for the 5th time.
By the way, this podcast is sponsored by Bethesda. No, I'm just kidding. Guys, we appreciate you guys hanging out here with for us just over an hour here on the G&G cast. A great episode, guys. I really like what everyone brought to the discussion. I'm sure
I honestly enjoy these conversations more than probably almost anything.
I do. I really enjoy them as well. Well,
I think I did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, you did a great job. And as this story develops, I'm sure there'll be another talking point. We can revisit it. Maybe we'll see if this teamwork that Buck is demanding, if everyone actually does follow through, if we start seeing some sales figures or see some stories about what's going on with the Star Wars license or what's going on with Battlefront 2, we'll be in the know on that.
But you have to do it. You have to do it. If you don't do it, then it's fucking worthless.
Yeah. But this has been episode 26. I'm your host, It's Bread Time. Joined by Subliminal Cheese, Crouton John, KW Frags. Make sure you can watch this tomorrow in its entirety if you came in the middle of our cast on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see that tomorrow, probably afternoon, after I mix it down and upload it. That's Grenades and Goblins on YouTube. We all have our own Twitch channels as well. You can follow me on It's Bread Time. I stream on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Subliminal Cheese is busy with life right now, but I know he's trying to get back to the normal schedule as well. Great streamer as well. Crouton John, you follow him on Twitch. And KW Frags, who's also with Unmade Gaming, UNMADE Gaming. They do some awesome D&D stuff as well. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. Possibly next week if we feel like it, or if there's a story worth talking about, but we can promise you bi-weekly for now. Again, this has been the G&G cast. Thank you guys for joining us so much. We appreciate all the support. Buck, send us out. I saw that. Oh, you're in Rhode Island? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm like right on the border of Rhode Island and Mass.
But yeah, so things changed. I have a budding career, which is awesome. Buck's been busy doing Buck things, whatever the hell that is. He's got a
No one
metal
needs to
blog,
know.
Bare Metal